Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Zita, and on my channel I share with you DIYs and makeovers on a budget. And don't forget to follow me over on my socials at Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, and Etsy. So let's get started on today's DIYs. Today I'm going to be making over some thrift store finds where I'll be doing some decoupaging, using some stamps, and also using some IOD transfers. So this first DIY here, I picked this up at the thrift store. It was a little beat up. It's hard to tell in this video, but it was very beat up. So I thought I'll make this over into something more beautiful. I'm going to paint it white. So right here, I tried to get those screws out to take off those hooks, but I could not get them out for the life of me. So thought I'm just gonna paint around it and it'll work out. And if any paint gets on the hooks, I'll just scrape it off, and it worked out fine. So first I'm removing all the backing, and I'm gonna be decoupaging a couple of those pieces. But before I do that, I'm going to give it a few coats of chalk paint, and before I do give it the chalk paint, I'm going to wipe it down and let it dry. So here guys, I'm using a homemade chalk paint, and if you haven't made homemade chalk paint before, I have a video for that, so I'll leave that in the description box. So I think I gave this 3 or 4 coats of chalk paint because I didn't want any of that black showing through, and I wanted it to be a really nice bright white. And I did plan to distress the piece back, but instead I used paint for distressing. So next here I'm going to decoupage a couple of these white boards, and they were really beat up as well. And I'm using a Tim Holtz Botanical decoupage paper here, and I'm going to use Mod Podge to apply it on the bottom. And what I like to do guys is I start from the center and work my way out, so kind of like half and half. That way I think it's less room for error this way. And I'll be using an old Dollar Tree shower cap with very thin plastic to smooth everything out. If you don't have anything like that, you can use saran wrap. You can also use your hand, but go very lightly when you're doing it, because if you have a little too much glue in some spots, it's easier to rip. So yeah, this shower cap is very light plastic, so it works out well, and I use a light touch when I'm smoothing it out. So you're going to want to apply like quite a bit of Mod Podge, but not like oversaturated, but you want it to be in all areas of where you're going to apply that decoupage paper to make sure it doesn't bubble up or, you know, come up in certain areas where you didn't apply the Mod Podge. So here I'm doing the other half, just doing the same thing, working my way out from the center. And I tried to line up this decoupage paper as best as I can, and I'm just kind of applying a little bit on the back too, just sticking it right to the back instead of just cutting it off at the sides. Isn't that a beautiful botanical paper, guys? If you haven't tried this Tim Holtz Botanical paper yet, give it a try. And I have a bunch of other videos where I decoupage with this paper as well. So if you haven't seen any of those, I'll leave some in the description box. And right here I'm using a Polyvine heavy duty varnish, and this is in the dead flat, so it's not going to be shiny. It's going to dry in a flat texture or tone, sorry. And after that was dry, I gave the paint a light sanding, and then I wipe the dust away. And right here, guys, like I said earlier, I was going to distress back the piece with some sandpaper, but I thought instead I'm just going to use some paint to distress it along the edges where you would naturally get wear and tear. And I'm also going to do the insides of each of those squares as well, and it turned out beautiful. It looks so nice and crisp with that white, and you'll see coming up here. So there's that black, guys. It looks really nice. So once I have all that done, I'm giving it some polyacrylic, and that's going to seal that chalk paint in. It's going to make it last longer. And guys, if you have a Lazy Susan, these are great for putting your projects on. You just got to spin it around instead of picking it up. So if you don't have one of those, go to your local dollar store and see if you can find one. This is where I found that one. So it's all dry now, guys, and I'm just going to put the 2 pieces of those Botanical boards there. I'm putting one on each side, and then I'm going to put the chalkboard in the middle instead of the way they had it in the beginning with the chalkboard at the end. So these are 2 like pin boards on each end that I decoupaged, and then the chalkboard in the middle. Doesn't that look awesome, guys? There's how it looked before, and this is what it looks like now. A stunning piece of office decor. What do you think, guys? Let me know in the comments. Do you think this looks so much better than the way it looked before? Now, if I could have gotten those hooks off, I would have spray painted those black. I think that would have looked nice, but I couldn't, so I think it still looks very nice. Let me know in the comments, guys, what do you think of this one? For my next DIY here, I have another thrifted piece. I have no idea what this was before, guys. If you guys know, let me know in the comments. I think it was some kind of floral box. Anyway, this was pretty banged up as well, and I got this for like a few bucks, I think. And again, I'm going to use my homemade chalk paint, and this chalk paint, guys, is very cost efficient. So if you haven't tried a chalk paint recipe before, take a look at my chalk paint recipe video, and like I said, I'll leave that in the description box. And I gave this I think 3 or 4 coats of my homemade chalk paint. I wanted it to be really white, and I didn't want any of that dark wood showing through. So if you're a new friend here, welcome. If you're a returning friend, welcome back. If you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing, and don't forget to give my videos a like and a comment. I work very hard on these videos, and that way YouTube will promote my videos more if you comment on them and give them a like. So right here, I gave the piece a sanding, and then I wiped it down. And for this piece, I'm going to use some stamps. I got this stamp on Amazon, and this is a script stamp. I was hoping it would be a little bit bigger of a script, but it still is very nice. So for your new stamps, guys, you're going to want to give it a light sanding with a 220 grit sandpaper or sanding block, just so your stamp has some tooth to grab onto your ink. So here I'm applying a black ink on it, and I'm just leaving it on the paper that's already on there instead of taking it off and putting it on a thin mount. It's already on a thin mount. I'm just putting that script all over in different places, and if some of the ink doesn't come off, that's okay. I want it to look kind of rustic looking. I was just going to put it on the top, and then I decided to go all over the piece with it, except on the bottom. I didn't go that far. Yeah, it turned out really nice. So once the script was all over, I let that dry and let the ink, set in place and dry. And then I thought it needed something else. So I was painting something else with this soapstone gray color. So I thought I had some paint on my brush, so I thought I'd give it a try and kind of give it that kind of distressing look, and it turned out really, really nice with that little bit of extra paint on there. I think it shows up that script more with the distressed kind of look on there. And this soapstone color is a really beautiful color, and you'll see coming up in my next DIY I use this soapstone color. It's beautiful. So what do you think, guys? Do you think it looks better with that distressing? So again, I'm using this Polyvine heavy duty wood varnish, and this is not going to give the piece a sheen. It's going to dry flat, and you could also use polyacrylic as well. Okay, so this is what it looked like before, guys, and doesn't that look beautiful with that script? Let me know what you think of this. Now I do want to get a bigger script stamp. I think IOD has one that I'd like to get and try. Let me know if you guys like pieces with script on it. I love it. For my next DIY, I have this cactus frame that I picked up at the Habitat for Humanity, and you may have seen these in some of my other DIYs. I have a whole bunch of them. They were only a couple of bucks each, but they're wood, and they're great for making signs. So I'm using this Fusion Soapstone paint. It's an awesome paint. If you haven't tried Fusion, guys, it is an awesome paint. It is a mineral-based paint, and the coverage is amazing. I only did 2 coats on this. I could have gotten away with 1 coat, I think, but I saw a little bit of pink shining through in a couple of areas, so I thought I'll give it 2 coats. And then I used the Polyvine wood varnish on it just to seal in that gray. And now I'm going to distress this piece with some paint instead of distressing it back, because I didn't want to distress it back to the pink. So I'm using some black paint and a little small brush here that will help me get in between those little slats on the front. It's hard to see on there now, but you'll see it in the final reveal once I have this transfer on. So I'm using this IOD transfer. It's a beautiful flower transfer and a butterfly, but I'm cutting out that butterfly because I don't want it in that exact spot. So don't take the backing off, guys, until you have it lined up on your piece and kind of taped down, because once that sticks to something, it may stay stuck. So you don't want to take that backing off until you have it in the place where you want it. So I kind of measured it out and centered it on the piece, and now I'm going to pull the backing off and smooth it out. And now these come with this little burnishing tool. Actually, I think it comes with a plastic one. This little wooden one was in with another set of transfers I had, so I have lots of them laying around now. So, and if you don't have anything to burnish it down with, you can use a credit card or something hard to get it off. And you're going to rub it on there until it's all burnished down, and then that little plastic piece that it comes on, just rub it over the transfer, and that's going to burnish it down some more. So right here I'm just placing my butterfly where I want, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to tape it down. I'm just using some masking tape here, guys, because it's not overly sticky, so it's not going to take off my paint. Sometimes with chalk paint, I find, like when I'm applying vinyl, it'll pull up some of my chalk paint, which is not good. So this masking tape is great to use when you're applying transfers. Now you can just wing it and not use any tape if you're feeling like you want to risk that, but I like to use some tape so it doesn't move around. So once it's all finished here, I'm going to apply a wax, And this is a clear finishing wax. And I'm going to apply it all over the piece and let that dry and cure. And it looks beautiful, guys. This transfer is so beautiful on this soapstone gray color. It's gorgeous. I love it. Let me know in the comments, guys, what you think of this one. You like the before or this after? I prefer the after. Let me know in the comments which one you prefer. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope these 3 DIYs gave you some inspiration, and I thank you for sharing some of your time with me, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.